All right, well, it is 1 o'clock, so I want to honor the time and get started on time. So I want to thank you for showing up today on my new training for business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals, and their teams. And we're going to talk about 3 keys to accelerate your business and sales success in just a few hours. So again, welcome. My name is Kimberly Lebbing. I'm your host. Today, I'm going to show you how you or your team can overcome big obstacles that have been maybe holding you or your team back in just a few hours without time-consuming seminars, trainings, and programs that we sometimes have to go through. So who is this for? This is for you if you are a business professional, a leader, or an entrepreneur that wants to get to the next level of your business, break through the plateau of your growth, increase your sales, and move yourself or your team into massive action. And my promise to you, today we're going to uncover 3 key steps in order to increase your sales, move yourself or your team into massive action, and break through the plateau of your growth. And really quick, what makes this different is I'm not selling anything. There's nothing for sale at the end of this. But if you would like to, if you like what you see here and you would like to talk to me about getting my help, I'll give you a way at the end to book a call with me, and we'll talk about my rapid results program or see if we're a perfect fit to work together. And what you'll discover. So through this process of sharing these things, you're going to discover 3 keys to accelerate your business and sales success in just a few hours. You're going to discover hidden barriers that hold people back, or maybe even yourself. And you're going to be able to identify any obstacles so that you can accelerate your own success. And very quickly, just so that you know who I am, I'm a success and mindset coach. I've been coaching for over 10 years. I'm certified in neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. I'm an NLP master coach. I have multiple expert certifications in NLP over the last 8 years. I am a trainer in NLP, and I am a speaker. I'm a sales and mindset trainer for companies and their teams. And I've got a proven track record of getting massive results for business owners, for entrepreneurs, professionals, and their teams that like to overcome an obstacle or a challenge that's been holding them back, and they haven't been able to figure out how to fix it, and it's holding them back from more productivity or higher levels of success. So most importantly, what I'm known for is I have created a unique 4-hour process that rapidly shifts minds and ignites fire and motivation that helps you or your team take massive action to reach your highest goals without the time-consuming seminars, the trainings, and the programs. I get to the root of the problem and fix it so that you can have rapid results and rapidly move your business or career forward. And we're going to talk a lot about these steps that I take with people today. So is this you? Are you struggling to reach your next promotion or sales goal? Do you know what to do, but you're inconsistent, which is affecting your performance and your results? Are you uncomfortable or have a lack of confidence with something and it's getting in the way of your higher success? If any of this sounds familiar, then I have really great news for you. None of these things are the real problem. The real problem is you really haven't been shown the 3 shifts that we're about to talk about today. And once you make them, you'll be able to move from stagnation to massive action and results. You'll experience more clarity and more focus, and you'll easily be able to set and achieve higher level goals. So here's what this looks like for others. John is someone I worked with a couple of years back. I'll talk more about him later, but in 4 hours, I helped him overcome a big challenge that he had personally, and he is now taking his business to 7 figures in a year. I'll tell more about that story later. And he says, the 4-hour rapid results I did with you was very powerful and healing. Thank you again for sharing that gift with me. Barb, I helped her get a fast breakthrough in 4 hours that accelerated her actions, increased her sales by 68%. And this was in just a little over 60 days. And she rapidly scaled her business. And she says Kim was able to accomplish in 4 hours what years of therapy could not. And my business has skyrocketed since the rapid results appointment. And John, after our different John, after our rapid results team session, he closed 20 new contracts in his first 30 days. And he says he noticed changes after the first meeting, and the biggest result was letting go and focusing on the future and the change that I can create. And it was very helpful for people new to sales. He was brand new to sales. I'm still working with that team, and he is top. He is top in the sales team in a very short period of time. So here's the 3 shifts, the paradigm shift. Shift number 1 is to identify the real problem. And I'll explain. It's like the elephant in the room, the thing that we don't always want to talk about. What most people do, most people talk about surface level problems. And these, just to be totally transparent, these are the problems that people will come to me with, but they're not really the real problem. So they identify things like imposter syndrome, fear of success, fear of failure, inconsistency. Maybe they're people pleasing or they're saying yes too often. And these are all very surface level problems. And what happens is when you don't really get to the real problem behind, the real cause behind those problems, you end up getting inconsistent results. And this is where you've seen, I'm sure, the entrepreneurial journey where you go up and down. Maybe you have a good month 1 month and then the next month you don't. Or maybe you're inconsistent about follow-up. Different things show up here, but that is the reason why we have inconsistent results. So if you think of us or our subconscious mind as an iceberg, so the surface level problem, that's the one that we deal with. It's on the surface that we all see. What we don't talk about or really dive into usually is the real problem that's underneath the surface. And 90% of our actions and behavior is controlled by our subconscious mind. This is very important to remember if you are in sales or you have a sales team and they're not getting or you're not getting the results that you want, remember that 90% is controlled by your subconscious mind. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper. But what we try to do is we consciously try to solve the subconscious problems using conscious level tactics. And this creates the inconsistent results. So we tackle the problem that's on the surface, ignoring what is the real problem that's underneath, which is the real huge driver of our success. So the very, very first step is to identify what that big problem is. And like I said, a lot of times it goes much deeper than how it is first presenting itself. So what people do is they will come to me about maybe they're inconsistent. I hear people that are in leadership positions sometimes struggle with people pleasing or saying yes too often. This causes them to be overwhelmed and not reaching their goals, creates a lot of guilt. There's a lot more to it. One of the recent clients that I worked with had a problem with people pleasing specifically, and this is a business owner. And a fairly new business, has a ton of potential. They're already very, very busy, just 6 months in. And the people pleasing part has been a real problem. And it has I know it's sucking up time because he's saying yes to things that doesn't really align with their goals, and saying yes too often. And what it's creating is a lot of guilt, a lot of stress within the business, unnecessary stress, and other things. So it's really, really important to identify what the big problem is, or what the real problem is that's underneath that surface, because it can make a huge, huge shift. And when you're growing a team or you're growing your business, this can affect your goals. If you do not get to this core problem, it can really affect your goals. And what happens is you've got those conscious level problems up here, and the things that are going on along under the surface, like the iceberg, and they don't align. They don't align. And so that is how you get the inconsistent results. So one of the things that I do to help resolve this, that you can do too, is get to the real problem. Ask yourself really good questions. This is what I do with clients. So one of the questions that I ask in my process is, so let's say it's people pleasing. How is that a problem? And we keep diving in deeper and deeper and deeper until we get to the real problem of what people pleasing, or another one, inconsistency. Like there may be a deeper problem of trust. And I'll get into the next step and how that all ties in, but it can hugely affect behavior and patterns and things that we do, the behavior and all the things that we do throughout our business and even in our personal relationships. Because one of the things that I talk about a lot is 100% of the time, your business and your personal experiences are related. There is no way to disconnect them. Whatever you have going on in your personal life absolutely affects your business, and vice versa. Even though we think we can separate it, we can't. It flows through us. So those experiences that we have personally affect us in our businesses. And that's part of finding what the problem is. Okay. Next, so when you can identify what that real problem is by asking those questions of how is that a problem and what is the real core of this behavior, then you are able to break through the plateau of your growth. You're able to gain more confidence and really succeed in any situation, motivate yourself or your team, and to really take massive action toward your goals. And one of the things, just a quick on when I do work with teams, I notice that a lot of times the owners have no idea what the salespeople are going through or some of the past experiences they have had. Maybe they may know a little, but they don't know to the degree that it's affecting their day to day. And this is true for us personally too. If you're in sales, a lot of times you don't realize these behaviors that you're doing and how it relates to some of your past experiences or the things that you have going on personally. So quick story of one of my clients, her name is Barb. She's a business owner. And at the time that I worked with her, she had two businesses, but the one that she wanted to focus on, she was a solopreneur at that time. She really wanted to expand. She wanted to build a team. She wanted to get it bigger. However, and this is an experienced business owner. So she had the other business for several years. This business, I believe, was several years old when she came to me. And she wanted to scale it. She wanted to grow a team, but she had been really stuck and scared, quite honestly. There was a lot of fear in stepping into that. And it was like she felt like she knew she could, but she felt like something was pulling her back and she couldn't figure out what it was. She had tried a lot of different things. A lot of the people that come to me, they've gone through several different things to try and fix the problem because she knew that there was something there that was holding her back and couldn't figure out what it was. So she came to me with things like it's imposter syndrome, it's fear of success. I think that was one of the things that fear of success was one of the things that she said, and imposter syndrome. And what it really, when we started drilling down those questions on how is that a problem, we identified that trust was the real problem. And for her, if you can imagine how this is affecting her business. So she had problems with trust, with some personal experiences, and that was her decisions were going through this filter of I don't trust people, or I don't trust myself to make these decisions. And it was affecting the way she was doing her business. And this is why she wasn't reaching out and why she wasn't moving forward in this. It was a huge hindrance. If you can imagine, if you don't trust people, it's hard to build a team. If you don't trust people, it's hard to even trust yourself to make the decisions to move forward. So it was a huge thing for her. And she was able, she went through one session, 4 hours, and we identified what the problem was. And I'll explain the rest of the steps in a moment as I go through this. We identified what it was for her, and she was able to increase her sales by 68%. And this was under 90 days. It was just a little over 60 days that she was able to do this. And I still get messages from her about how much her business has improved. She hired employees right away, and she's really scaling her business. She's writing a book, all kinds of great things and good things going on in her relationships, decisions that she is making that she would not have otherwise made had we not gone through this process and really dug into what her real problem was. In fact, I recently got a message from her that she said, I'm not even the same person, in a good way. Not even the same person as I was prior to us working together. So it was really, really huge for her. So you're probably thinking, will this really help me? I've tried other things before and the change didn't last, right? I'm going to address that because this is different. And part of the process is discovering what caused the problem or where it first occurred. And when you can do that, you can avoid the problem of it not working or having to go through too many steps. Most people think that that's just the way I am, or I've been this way my whole life. Is that even really possible for me? And I'm here to tell you that it is, because when you go through the problem, like I said at first, was most people are tackling these issues that they have. They're tackling them consciously. They're going through all kinds of trainings and problems to try and fix. You're not broken, but they're trying to fix their problem of whatever it is that's showing up, and they're not getting to the real core. And when you do that, that's when real change is possible. So the first thing that they do, and I know this so well because I did it myself, they attend sales training, seminars, learn new strategies and tactics that promise big results. I did this to extreme, I feel like, for years in an effort to get to my next level of success. And I spent a lot of money and a lot of time attending different things, purchasing programs that I really thought were going to help. I thought that I needed more skills. I thought that I needed more things to help me. And some of it was mindset type things too, but it was tackling everything at a conscious level. It wasn't getting into the real problem. Podcasts, a lot of people will read I read a ton of books. Not that that's bad. You should read books. You should listen to podcasts. But if you have a recurring problem and it's not getting you to the next level, this is probably not going to fix it. So it's another conscious level way that we try and correct or try and get to that next level. And the reason it doesn't work, this is what happened to me. If you've ever gone to something and you go and you're excited and you get home and you start implementing it, and then by weeks 2 or 3, or maybe months 2 or 3, maybe you stuck with it a little bit longer, you begin to slide back into your old behavior. That's why you're not tackling it from the subconscious level. So it causes inconsistent results, and it results in frustration and endless amounts of energy spent on trying to fix a problem. So the key is to discover what caused the problem or where it first occurred. And whenever you do that, it works like a set of dominoes. Whenever you do that, it works like a set of dominoes, so that all of the decisions and the behaviors going forward are seen differently. And so new decisions and new behaviors are made because you started that domino effect. And I'll explain a little bit deeper. So in our subconscious mind, we have a place called the Gestalt, and that is where our core memories, core emotions are stored. And what we want to do is we want to get into those imprint years, those years between 0 and 7, to discover what that cause is. That's not always the case, but it is usually the case. And it's where I like to start, because so much can be taken out with, like, think of those dominoes. The further you go back, the more dominoes you get to knock down. So the ages of 0 to 7 are really, really important. And if you think about when trying to figure out what caused a problem, think about where you were during the ages of 7 to 14. That's your modeling years. Who were your role models at that time? And then during the years of 14 to 21, your socialization years. I know personally, I had a lot of relationship issues, and 14, I think I was 14 when my parents divorced, and there was a lot of, fighting and stuff going on in my personal life that later affected my relationships, which also affected my businesses. So something to remember on, or this is a guideline on to help you find what that core problem is. So in discovering the cause, First, like I said, we want to identify that big problem, and then we want to discover the cause. And I'll give you an example. I have a client that I worked with last year who had a lot of things going on when he came to me. And really, he came to me because his business was affected, but there was a lot of relationship turmoil, really, divorce and all kinds of things that he had gone through that were affecting his business. And he was really at a standstill with his businesses. And one of the problems that we uncovered was that he had a feeling of being trapped. And this feeling of being trapped was keeping him kind of in this, in a fear state, a fear of reaching out to others, a fear of developing relationships, all kinds of things. And as much as it would make sense that it was related to his divorce, it was actually related much, much, much further back to a time when he lived on a farm and got stuck in a farm equipment thing where grain was going through, and he got yelled at, and because he was going to get sucked down and get hurt, but his parents wanted to pull him out and help him out, and that he felt trapped. He felt trapped in that grain. It wasn't a grain auger. It was like he was like in a wagon, and the grain was pouring out. I don't know the right terms, but if you're a farm person, you may know that. Anyway, he felt trapped because of that, and that your subconscious mind is so literal. He took that feeling of being trapped, and the subconsciously, it ended up being applied in other areas of his life, and it was affecting his relationships pretty drastically, and it was affecting his business as a result, because like I said in the beginning, they're very much related. So that was a big problem for him, and we were able to resolve it. And we were able to resolve that problem because we had already done some work together. We were able to resolve that in just a few minutes. It was literally that fast of discovering what the cause was. And then I'm going to show you in a moment what the other steps are, but that was a big piece. So move this. When we get to the root of the problem, we experience consistent, lasting results. We have better relationships at home and at work, and we respond differently to people and situations. And this client still messages me that he's still not doing the old behaviors. He's still not doing that. I get that a lot from people. They're like amazed that months and years later, after we fixed a problem, they're still not doing that old behavior. They're still responding differently. And it's because we got to that root cause, and it's because we got to the reason, or we discovered the cause or where it started. We got to the root. And now another quick story, a client that I worked, this was a team client. His name is John, and he works for a roofing company. I mentioned him in the beginning. He was new to sales. And when I first came into this company, he was actually afraid. Not only was he afraid to knock on doors, he was also afraid to get up on the roofs and do the inspections, which is a big piece of their sales process. And we discovered that John had a previous business. And during the pandemic, he was part of a restaurant business, and he was a chef. So he went to a completely different industry. And as a chef, he was always under pressure to perform well. So it was a high-end restaurant, and always under pressure to perform really well. And he felt this pressure with performance. And then the restaurant, we know what happened during the pandemic. This restaurant ended up closing its doors. He ended up finding a different type of business. And he's actually very well suited for sales personality wise. But he was afraid. He was afraid to knock on the doors, and it had to do with that past experience. So the root problem had to do with that past experience and feeling like he was he was afraid that he would disappoint other people and not perform well. So he was afraid not only to climb up on that roof, but also to knock on the doors to get the sale. And so those past experiences that we have can really affect us. But I'll take it a step further. He also discovered that it was before that restaurant experience. There was something else. The restaurant experience kind of nailed it in and really kind of crippled his behavior for a little while. Getting to that cause of it was huge for him. And I'm happy to report he's doing amazing. He signed 20 contracts his very first month, and I was told that that was unheard of. I'm not in the roofing industry, so I don't know how I wasn't aware of how they did things. And he got 20 contracts his very first month, and he is really doing an amazing job. He's hitting his quotas and just very, very excited about his new career, and he's doing amazing. So I'm excited to watch his business and how that grows. So you're probably thinking this process is time consuming, it's stressful, and mentally draining, right? And a lot of people do think this. However, it's not. It's not. In fact, the time consuming part, if you compare the few hours that you can spend on this versus the years and all the time and the money spent that a lot of us do, that I did personally, that was much more stressful and much more mentally draining because it was drawn out for so long. And actually I see the opposite with people. When they come out of going through this process, they feel really rejuvenated, they feel ready to go, and they're ready to, go hop up on a roof or go knock on a door or, go make a sale pretty quickly. They want to take action very, very quickly. And I will explain the rest of the steps. So step number 3 is fixing the problems so that it doesn't keep happening. And I know this was the case for me. A lot of people think that long-lasting change isn't possible without the years and years and years of hard work. And one of the things that I learned in my own journey is that's what I did. I spent years and years. This past, very recently, I worked with a business owning couple, and they had problems with, the way they were interacting with each other that was affecting their business and whatnot. And they had literally been in counseling, both individually and in couples counseling for years. And they were still having these issues. And we worked together and we were able to fix. There was one specific problem that was affecting both of them. It was affecting relationships, and I know it was flowing into their business. And we were able to fix it in just a matter of a few minutes, like maybe 20. So, I mean, it was really huge. And we did exactly what I talked about. Like, what is the problem? What's the core problem? What caused it? That was the process that we went through. So when you can do that, breakthrough is just ahead. And the mistake people make is exactly what I said regarding, myself and even this couple and many other people, is you spend hours and hours or years working on fixing your problem. And like I said before, none of us are broken, but a lot of us think we need fixing. So we spend so much time on this, and it really prevents us from reaching our goals and getting to those next levels in our business. And it doesn't work. what happens is we end up missing opportunities that are right in front of us. What the business owner, Barb, I remember hearing from her right after, like within a day or two after we finished her 4-hour. And she's like, all the pieces to expand my business and scale it, they were right under my nose the whole time. And I didn't even see that they were there. All the things were in place. And I knew when I talked to her, I knew she could do it. I knew all the pieces were there, but she had like a wall, literally had a wall and couldn't see past her nose as far as what she could do with that. So, and that's so many times when we get stuck in our own problem, we don't see the vast amount of opportunity that's around us. And then we've wasted time and energy on things that don't really help us. And it leads to exhaustion and leads to burnout in our business and in our relationships. We just get tired of dealing with it, and it slows us down. And then we end up kind of plateauing and just kind of accepting whatever results we get, maybe lowering our goals, or maybe not going after the ones that we really, really want, kind of giving up on them. So a little bit of perspective. I like to tell this story just to kind of explain a little bit more about how this works. So if you could pretend for a moment that every person, whenever we're born with a pair of imaginary glasses, okay? So I'll put on my computer glasses for a moment. And every time we have an experience, one of those deep emotions and of anger or experience of sadness or fear, any of those things, it's like we get a splotch. We get a splotch every single time. And as we are going through life and we grow up older, we are still looking through these same pair of glasses, and they are all smudged up and we don't see clearly. We have that wall, like we've actually built a wall through our perspective or through our filters, and we don't see the opportunities that are right there in front of us. And whenever you can go through this process and identify the problem, find out what caused it, and I'll get to the next couple of steps in a moment, that's when you clean this up. And then you're able to see just as clearly as these glasses are on the screen. You're able to see things that you couldn't see before, that were there the whole time, but they're brought into focus because you've cleaned those things up. So the next step, so I'll review we're going to identify the problem. We're going to discover the cause. The next two steps I'm going to put together because they go together. And that's the subconscious fix. And that is where you bring the subconscious up to the conscious level so that the problem doesn't keep happening. And we do this by reframing the problem. And when I say reframing, we take whatever that problem was and we ask ourselves, like, what did we learn from it? What can we take with us? It's I mean, that's not the only piece, but that's a big part of it, is what did you learn from it that you can take forward with you? And when you do that, that is when you get to create a new behavior. And whenever you can create a new behavior at the subconscious level, it leads to immediate action and results. And let's see, whenever you create the new behavior, you actively step into imagining what you will see in this new behavior, what you will hear, how you will feel. All of these things are really important steps into putting people into massive action. And I'll explain just a little bit more. Oops. Okay. If you can imagine that we are computers. So whenever you have a computer and it's slowed down, let's say it got a virus, I'm sure you've had a computer that's had a virus, and what happens? It slows down, Sometimes it's stopped in its tracks. It doesn't find things quickly. It may be frustrating. It's very, very slow in moving into new things or getting onto new pages. Downloading information is also very slow. But when you can go through this process and really clean up the core problem behind the behavior, the subconscious reason that's holding you back, that's when you're able to upload a new program. So whenever you clean and remove that virus, then you upload a new program, and that's when everything works. It works so well. It works so well, and everything goes quick. You can move to pages quickly, you can download quickly, and we are exactly the same way with the way our brains and our subconscious mind is. When we clean things up, we're able to upload a new program, and we're able to make decisions much, much clearer. So one last case study I'll talk about, John, the other John in my story. And John came to me originally. He had two businesses at the time, a longtime business owner. He was in the IT space with one of his businesses. And he had a problem with inconsistency and follow-up. And he really didn't know what it was that was stopping him. He didn't know how to fix it. And he actually said, I am consistently inconsistent. And so we went through the process, and as it turned out, John had a really big problem that happened personally. And it was a long time ago, like 20 years back. And it affected his entire family. They went through counseling, did all kinds of things to try and fix it. And consciously they did. They had, people forgave each other, like relationships were restored. It was all good, but subconsciously he still had that old virus, was still there, and it was still running a program and causing his inconsistency in his business. So once we identified that, took him through the process, and were able to remove it and upload a new program, he immediately began to become more consistent in that business. What the really cool part was, and this is what I want to, because the effect of this is really astronomical, because it's long-term. The effects are long-term. They're permanent and they are long-term, because we're literally rewiring and creating new neural pathways. So for John, he didn't tell me this at the time, but he had an idea for a new business. And he started the process just a few months after we worked together of creating this new business idea. And it was a really great idea, something new. And he, in the IT space, he ended up creating it. And within a year, he achieved 7 figures in that business, which is huge. And this is a business that he probably would never have even thought about doing or creating had we not taken care of that old problem that he had that was personal, but was yet still affecting his business and his decisions. So huge, huge step. And that's the impact of this. That's the impact of whenever you get to that core and fix it at its root, that is the impact that it can have on your business, your life, your relationships. So what if you've been driving to work on the same route every single day, and it took you 30 minutes to get there? What if I told you there was a new route? What if I told you the new route only took 10 minutes and there was no traffic? Would you want to take the new route? All right, so did I keep my promise? I'm going to review just very quickly the 3 shifts that we talked about. And that was identify the real problem, discover what caused it or where it first occurred, fix the problem so that it doesn't keep happening, and having these 3 things working for you gives you a clear path, even more success, reaching your highest goals more easily, and also equally important, deeper and better relationships, personal relationships, business relationships, all of it. So now you have a choice. Option 1 is to go it alone. That's what I did. I know that's what a lot of my clients did for years and years until they didn't know that such a thing was even possible until they met me. And I'll ask you a question. What is the cost of not fixing it? And I know for me and a lot of others, lost time, lost opportunities. I have a client that I'm going to be working with in a couple of weeks who said he's lost infinite income, financial planner. And he told me a story about how $30,000 was lost because of the things that have been holding him back just really quick. Lost happiness, damaged or unfulfilling relationships, slower business growth, anger, and frustration. So Albert Einstein said the insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. Option 2 is to let me help you. And I'll give you a way to do that. I've set aside some time to talk to you personally about how you can apply these ideas to your business and to your life. Possibly if you have a team, help you with your team. And this is only for you if you're a successful business owner or entrepreneur and you're ready to commit to the next level, you're tired of being in the same place, and you're ready for bigger results. You're ready to invest in the success of you and your company. And why I'm doing this, if you decide that my process is a perfect solution for you and you want my help to identify what's been holding you back so you can fix it for good, you can go to 4hourresults.com and you'll see my calendar, and there is a form. Once you book, there is a form that you will, with a few questions that I ask that you complete before we talk, so that I will know the best way to serve you and have a little more insight as to what you're struggling with. And if we work together, I'll walk you through the exact process I use with all my clients to help you finally get past what's been holding you back from getting to your next level of success. And again, just a quick picture of the process that I shared with you today: identifying the big problem, discovering the cause. We will fix it subconsciously and create a new behavior instantly at the subconscious level so that you can get into action and get results quickly. And you can book a call with me again. Go to 4hourresults.com. And I want to thank you again for being on today. I am very, very happy. And if you have questions, you can reach out to me. I know a lot of you are connected to me on LinkedIn or in Facebook. You can connect with me there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.